Hello, everybody. Welcome to our inaugural Patreon Q&A here on my main YouTube channel. Pretty much people who subscribe to my Patreon are going to be asking me questions, rather they already have, and I'm going to be answering them as honestly as I can. Humor isn't really the point of this. This is just a way for me to, I guess, offer maybe some serious advice on things I've learned in my 35 years, but also I'll be fielding questions like, would you sodomize a sheep? To which I'd have to answer if the sheep was asking for it. But let's start. We got question number one, Ansel Green. Ever plan on getting married, bro? I go back and forth on this. I have been super happy in long-term relationships before. My last relationship, for example, I was very content just to be with one person and be checked out of the dating game. There was a piece that came with that. But what ended up ruining that relationship was my workaholism and my selfishness. And I don't think enough has changed right now in my life to drag another person through the world of Danny Mullen, which is 6 days a week, sometimes 7 if I'm on the road, working. And often, I mean, it's rare that I work less than 12 hours a day. So I'm not really interested in marriage right now. Ever since I bungled my last relationship, I'm interested in just trying to get better at making YouTube videos, get better at doing stand-up, get better at Jiu-Jitsu, get better at cunnilingus. That's a big one for 2025. And we'll see. Maybe we'll revisit that when I'm 40. I guess that's the beauty of being a guy is, my eggs don't go bad, baby. And if I wait too long, well, there's always whorehouses in Tijuana. Jacob Pranger. What did you originally edit on, and what was your first camera for your videos? Will you be coming back to Fresno? Jacob's getting sneaky. He's sliding in multiple questions. We just drove through Fresno for our Yosemite video, which, depending on when this goes live, you'll either have already seen or will be forthcoming. Sorry, let me get comfortable here. This is going to be a long one. I originally edited on probably Adobe Premiere Pro, which is what I edit on right now. I took a class on Udemy, which is basically just a collection of online courses that are really inexpensive, and that taught me the basics. I'm by no means a great technical editor, but I am good with storytelling, and I know what's boring and what's interesting. So that's the only really editing I do when it comes to our videos. Our editing team, Ian, Jace, Tahita, those are the guys who do the technical shit, the effects, the visuals, the balancing of audio, the subtitling. I just come in and say, that sucks, get that out of the video. Or I don't say, I do it with my own fingers often while I edit. But just chop this is dragging. We've been in this scene for the last 6 minutes. The audience is going to get bored of seeing these off-white walls. It's just uninteresting. We need to move to where we're outside in the construction site. This is just a complete made-up video I'm coming up with. The first camera I used was an iPhone. The way I started the YouTube channel was very ad hoc. The first video we did it's called DPs for Rent. It's by most estimates an abomination. Me and one of my best buddies to this day, Tim Meistis, shout out. He just got back from a music festival and agreed for me to drive out. I was living in Vegas at the time, but I was visiting my parents in Sacramento. He agreed to let me drive out to visit him in San Francisco. His girlfriend was out running errands or something, and we just shot this fucking horseshit comedy sketch together in his apartment using 2 iPhones propped up on $15 Amazon tripods. I don't even think we had 2 iPhones. I think we shot each take or each person's perspective one at a time. And then after we filmed that, I realized that I wanted to film something more lively and something more out in public. So while I was back in Vegas, me and another one of my best buddies, Adam Fu, started going out onto the strip and just doing man on the street interview stuff. But those videos, there's a lot of like fun, written content, silly costumes, antics, a lot of making out with chicks. And I would basically pay my friend Fu to film for me by agreeing to go out and party with him that night, because I don't know if he had a lot of buddies out there at the time who to party with. And even if he did, it's me partying when I was 27 years old. I went awfully hard, so I'm sure he enjoyed that. But we used an iPhone. We used my iPhone. I was constantly deleting footage on the strip, like deleting old, I don't know, videos of a family vacation or just like a jerk off video that I sent to a girlfriend or something. Just whatever random crap I could find on my phone and get rid of. We had to do that throughout the shoot constantly, because back then iPhones were, 40 gigabytes, and there wasn't a lot of room for extra footage. I remember back in those times going around with the iPhone, people would ask if they could follow us on social, and I would give them hesitantly our page, and they would always look really disappointed when they saw the subscriber account. But there's a lesson to be taken from that. Don't get bogged down by perfectionism early. Just start making shit and put it out there. Start the business. Ask the girl out, even if you haven't lost that pesky 15 pounds yet. Just get it going. Start. Figure out the details as you go. Learn the job on the job, as Andrew Jackson did. I think they said Andrew Jackson did that. Learn how to kill Indians while you're on the job killing Indians. You don't need to know the ins and outs of plunging a dagger through their heart. That's the only job that I know Andrew Jackson did for sure. I had an edible. We just got done shooting. Drove up from Orange County. Popped an edible. Hasn't kicked in yet, so you've got that to look forward to. My eyes glazing over a little bit and my answers being more nonsensical. I jumped in the ocean when I was down in Orange County too, so I'm still sandy. Do you keep your social network relatively tight to your crew, or do you spend outside of filming time with other LA influencers? I don't really hang out off camera with a lot of LA influencers. I would like to. I definitely would. It's just they're busy, I'm busy, people get busy in LA. It's a big city. It takes a long time to get everywhere, which kind of defeats the purpose of everybody living in the same city, because it feels like we don't. But I would love to. I would like to just have more leisure time, period. And I'm actually trying to work on that. I want to have, because right now, and I'm not saying this to brag, I'm just saying this because it's the truth. I do work about 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. And I would like to get it to, so I have like 2 full weekends a month. And then maybe at some point I have 4 full weekends a month, but Monday through Friday are still insanely productive and busy. Just because I love going to a cafe, getting a coffee, reading a book, going to dinner with somebody. And I do feel like I don't get quite enough of that right now. As far as people that I do hang out with outside of my YouTube crew, because most of the people I hang out with are just like fucking Leo and Tahita or whoever we're out filming with. But I've got good buddies in Southern California, Tim and Adam Fu, who I mentioned previously, Jiu-Jitsu buddies, comedy buddies. That's kind of work, but I spend so much time working. I got to get along with the people I'm around. Otherwise, what the fuck is the point? I got to know, Danny, asks Kyle Lee, do you actually get pussy or do you just code switch? That's the only way you get pussy. I don't know what the fuck that question means. Usually code switch means I talk black. That would be incredible if I was a white guy who just got boatloads of pussy by like, hey girl, like while I'm on here on the YouTube channel, like, all right, Kyle Lee, I'm going to make an honest effort to answer your question to the best of my ability. I hope the answer is satisfying. And if it is, maybe suggest my Patreon to your friends. But instead of that, I'm just like, once I get done with Kyle, I turn over to Rebecca, just, yeah, girl, after I'm done with this live, you going to get over here and suck my dick or what? Like that, if that worked, that would be great. How do you code switch getting pussy, dude? That's the only way you get pussy? I don't even know how to go about answering this, Kyle. I like the question. I like these curveballs, these brain teasers. It is 9:43 p.m. on a Saturday night right now, and I haven't an edible working on me, so maybe this question will make sense to me later on, and I'll try to answer it. I've been watching you for years and years. Okay, here's Kyle clarifying on the code switching thing. I've been watching for years and years. You made me realize I code switch a lot, but I accidentally do it to like Hispanics and Indian people. I guess I just feel that it's necessary sometimes. LMAO. I don't... Is Kyle... Let me look up Kyle here. Is he black? I'm going to assume Kyle's black, dude. Do you think training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, says Matthew Anderson, has made a significant impact on your career and everyday life, whether it be positive or negative? Also, quit being a puss and dose with Ollie. Ollie is a character in our Yosemite video. Matthew Anderson wants me to do acid with him. The most important lesson Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu taught me was self-belief. Let me get this Patreon mic in here. I got to advertise. This is a Patreon Q&A after all. I'm going to lose some of the freeway shot. BJJ taught me self-belief. What do I mean by that? When I first started competing in jiu-jitsu, I won my first match just by sheer luck. Maybe the guy really sucked when I was a white belt. But after that, I went on maybe a 5-match slide where I would go to tournaments, lose in the first round, sometimes in humiliating fashion, and then have to take the long commute home to Sacramento and get back to training. One time my dad drove me all the way down to Los Angeles from Sacramento, about a 6-hour drive. Lost my first match. At least I lost on points, so I didn't get choked out instantly. That happened in Santa Cruz, where my dad drove me to Santa Cruz, waited around all day. I was a teenager at this time, which is why my dad was driving me. Waited all day for my match at the tournament because it was a little Mickey Mouse operation that didn't know how to fucking schedule. So this thing, I got there at 9 a.m., ended up competing at like 7 p.m. The event ran late. There was a wedding scheduled there, and the wedding people were about ready to burn the fucking place down because these idiots in karate gis were still wrestling each other. But after all of that time, I get on the match with an Asian kid who, the second my match starts, runs across the mat, jumps closed guard, sinks in a cross-collar choke, and pulls me to the ground on top of him, but he's got a cross-collar choke, so I was fucked because it was in deep. Heard myself wheezing, but I was already losing consciousness, so it took me a second to realize that was me wheezing and unable to breathe. Tapped out. Match over. It's been about 20 seconds. Had to drive all the way back from Santa Cruz to Sacramento in silence because my dad was immensely disappointed in me. The problem was I had no belief I was going to go out there and win. The majority of the time when I thought about the tournament, I'd be dreading it. And if I was being honest with myself, I felt like there was a high chance I was going to walk out onto the mat and get humiliated. I don't remember what changed that exactly. I do remember Uriah Faber, one of my great mentors, UFC Hall of Famer. I trained at the same gym that Team Alpha Male trained at. If I trained jiu-jitsu there, I didn't do any MMA. But we were hanging out at his house one night. We were all in the hot tub. Some guys were drinking. This one guy in particular, I think his name was Nico, was shit-faced drunk. A wrestler Uriah knew from college. And he was just going on and on about grappling psychology. And at one point, he looked over at me, foaming at the mouth. This guy was so fired up. And he's like, when you step on the mat with somebody, you have to look across at the other man and say to yourself, I'm going to fucking kill this guy. And Uriah just went, yep, that's true. That's true. And that was Uriah's thing. Whatever it was with Uriah, business, fighting, or personal life, he believed he was going to succeed. And he could not be talked into any other point of view. And at the same time, I think I picked up a Tony Robbins book, and I still love Tony Robbins. Listen to quite a lot of his shit. And in Somewhere in Unlimited Power, it talks about that, just self-fulfilling prophecies and the power of visualization. So the next couple times I set foot on the mat, I remember it was, I think, U.S. Open 2008 in Santa Cruz, where it clicked. I just tried, before the tournament to get into a positive state, I put on Danny California by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is just an upbeat, like, yeah, this is fun song, on a loop the entire drive out. I made sure to have a beer the night before the tournament just to remind myself I was loose. I wasn't taking things too seriously. I wasn't scared. Got to the tournament. While I was in the bullpen, just pictured myself up on the podium with a gold medal around my neck. And whenever they announced that my opponent and I had to set foot in the ring and face down each other, I looked across the mat and I thought, I'm going to fucking kill this guy. And in 2008 at the US Open, I won my first match. And while they raised my hand, I think I beat the guy on points. I couldn't, I was shocked that it fucking worked because I was telling myself I was going to win, but deep down, I still probably didn't believe it. But just telling myself I was going to win was enough to trick my body. When I started getting tired in the match, I just kept saying, you're going to win, you're going to win, you're going to win. Fuck him up, fuck him up, fuck him up. And that allowed me to tap deeper energy reserves. And it allowed me to fight more ferociously when he was on the verge of passing my guard and almost scoring 3 points. I was able to summon up some of that. Ooh, lost my screen here. Oh. I'm back. I was able to summon up some of that worried mother strength where a mom can lift a Volvo that just ran over her toddler. And I won that match, went on to my next match, triangled the guy. And at this point, I was just tripping out on this newfound power. Lost my third match brutally to this smelly stoner guy who was just fucking passed my guard like butter and rear naked choked me when I gave him my back. But I kept that lesson with me. And then the next year at the US Open 2009, I had 4 matches, dominant point victory. First match was Bravo choke submission, dominant point victory, really tight match with a tough purple belt where I won by, 2 or 3 points. Fucking fired up, went to the finals, lost by 2. But still, what I had pictured the year before, me up on the podium, I was there, not in third place, second place, won from the top, and only lost by 2. And then after that, I started winning local tournaments. I never won anything big in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But what Matthew was asking is, what did it teach me? It taught me the power of self-belief and visualization, and then also consistent hard work in the gym, whatever the gym is for you. For me, sometimes the gym is on stage doing stand-up. The gym is watching a Monty Python episode. And for you, whatever that might be, stay in the gym, but also believe in yourself and your ability to perform once the tournament, quote unquote, arrives, whatever the quote unquote tournament is in your life. Would you date a chick if she doesn't suck dick? The lecherous hands. It's not that I would miss the blowjobs terribly. I would just be like, what is the fucking logic? You'll make out with my mouth, which is filled with bacteria and partially chewed food and plaque in my teeth. You'll make out with this, but you won't suck just this fleshy thing that just got out of the shower. And I'm circumcised. I'm not like Leo, so it's not like there's cheese or buildup. I would have such, my belief in her ability to be logical would be so shaken that I think I would lose respect for her based on that. It's not a mucous membrane. It's just a fucking fleshy thing. Like, I just would be like, what's wrong with you? First kiss story. Zacadelic, my first peck was a girl at Sunsplash, Golfland Sunsplash, or maybe it was at Waterworld in Sacramento. It's sitting in an angle. This is so uncomfortable. Here we go. That's a slight improvement. Her and another friend were playing some very juvenile kissing game where they were seeing who could kiss the most boys throughout the course of the day. You know, just girls who now probably have 6 kids to 3 different fathers, just exercising their sluttiness. I was talking about being in the gym last question. These girls were in the gym for whoredom. But that was a mean thing to say. They were just experimenting with their sexuality and the opposite sex. I can't be sure they grew up to be whores. And yeah, so they approached me in the wave pool, and one of them asked for a kiss, which obviously they weren't attracted to me. They were just trying to get their fucking numbers up, much like almost every guy watching this right now is too, in a sexual fashion. But just the fact that they identified me as like a valid male option. The year before, because I hit puberty really late. So at this point, 8th grade, I definitely had not hit puberty. I probably weighed 120 pounds, maybe even less, like 115, very, very skinny. I'm still skinny, but I was really skinny in high school. The fact that they didn't see me is a kid in a wheelchair who had drool dripping down his lip. The fact that they didn't group me in with like the obese kid who sat at the picnic table by himself at lunch, that felt insane to me. And yeah, just it was like my arrival into the party that is trying to get laid or just get any attention from the opposite sex, I should say, because definitely I was not getting laid in 8th grade. I'm trying to think of my first makeout. I think my first makeout was this girl in Rancho Marietta, which I talked extensively about Rancho Marietta in that home video. I want to say this was like sophomore year. My first makeouts were sophomore year, dude. I wasn't even kissing girls freshman year. I think it was this girl in Rancho Marietta who made out with me and then gave me a hand job underwater at a lake we were all hanging out at. It was the summer. And then she gave me a very brief blowjob in Mark Spiegelman's bathroom. And he later came out of the closet and is a certified gay man. And I got sucked off in his bathroom by a fucking angel who gave me my first makeout, hand job, and blow job all in one day, if my memory serves me correctly. Will you come to England and film a video on the Stones? George would love to. Would definitely love to. Not totally sure what it's going to take. Got to check flight prices. England's quite expensive. That is, we got to think about supply lines. It's like we're, I don't know, the Romans fighting the Gauls. We got to keep the food coming in. We got to make sure we have our engineers to build bridges over rivers. There are a lot of logistics. It's not as easy as me just flying to England and going. We have a team. We got to transmit the videos back. It's expensive to fly out with me, Leo, and a cameraman. So I got to check. I think we're going to maybe hit South America would be a priority just because it's financial arbitrage to go down there. Everything's cheaper. So, but perhaps a video on the Stones. It might be a Beatles video. We might have to do like a proper Beatles video. What's the best thing that happened to you within the last year? You know, interesting question. A lot of great memories, so many fun times on the road. I think lately I've kind of broken a plateau in stand-up, which has been nice. And it clicked for me at a show in San Diego. I had a string of just not very good shows up here in LA. And what was going on was, because I'm so used to posting new content every single week and videos. I mean, sometimes we do sequels if they're beloved videos, but usually it's new concept, new place, new jokes. It's not like we repeat. I mean, there are recurring themes, like Leo's fucking uncircumcised, got a cock block Leo when he's talking to a pretty girl. But generally, it's new humor every single week. New things are being said. New approaches to comedy are being taken. Whereas the idea of just getting up on stage and regurgitating material at first felt like a foul to me. And especially since there would be repeat people in the audience watching the show, and there would be all of my comedian buddies in the back row watching me who'd seen me do the same shtick tens of times. That bothered me, and so I would not do old jokes, and I would just spend way too much time riffing and doing crowd work. And there was an immense amount of pressure because I knew that I had emptied the magazine and I was down to my boot knife now. That's how I was fighting. And that's a high stress situation to be in. But I had a show in San Diego that my buddy Bryson, he actually trains at my jiu-jitsu gym, and we do stand-up shows together. So he invited me down to a show in San Diego at the Laugh Factory. And I went up there, all new audience. Nobody had ever seen me there before. And I was able to deliver all my material and not feel like a doofus for being up there repeating shit and pretending like I was thinking of it up the top of my head. And I killed, completely slaughtered, went out big ovation, applause break when I get off the stage. And that just was the turning point. And that allowed me to start breaking the plateaus I was in. Now, I still have bad shows sometimes, but more often than not, they go well. And I'm just having a ton of fun with stand-up. Nothing's better than when the crowd is just juiced up. And it's nice to have a dialogue with the audience where usually when we do comedy out in public, maybe I make Leo laugh, the cameraman laugh, the person in the video laugh, which is always great. But basically, you're just kind of firing into the dark and you don't know where your rounds are landing. You don't know exactly what makes people laugh. So there was a miscalibration with my comedy sometimes. Whereas now, just the feeling of when you're in the flow state up there and the set's going well and the laughter comes back at you and you just feel that energy, it's really cool. It feels like you're climbing a mountain and the laughter or handholds for you. It's just this weird, very unique exchange of energy that when my edible kicks in a little bit more, I'll be able to explain better. Oh yeah, this edible's already kicked in, son. Maybe that's why my explanation was so shitty. So Nick, I think that's been a good memory, just getting better at stand-up this year. Mazzy, favorite memory with Fan Josh. So Fan Josh, one of the biggest fans of the channel, a guy we got involved in the channel. He was in probably 3 videos, did die recently. I'm not sure how much I can say other than that. We are going to be coming to Texas, I think, in May, and I'm planning on getting up there and shooting a little something in Paris, Texas, which was Fan Josh's town, and he always wanted us to do a worst town in America there. But favorite memory with Fan Josh, this one pops up in my head, Mazzy. We were in Palestine, Texas. We'd flown to San Antonio, Texas, I think, or maybe Dallas, with my buddy Adam Fu, who's Jewish. This was in 2021 when there was a flare-up in tensions between Israel and Palestine. And Fu was posting stuff, all kinds of pro-Israel stuff on the internet about it. And I thought it'd be funny to take him to a town in Texas called Palestine. I'm trying to think if that's, East Palestine, Ohio, just there was a chemical train dump. So I don't know why I had to go to Texas. Maybe that was the furthest west Palestine that I could get to instead of going all the way up to Ohio. And then even then it's East Palestine. It's not really Palestine. So I took my buddy Adam Fu out there. We flew from Vegas to Dallas, got a rental car, drove deeper into Texas, met up with Fan Josh. This entire time, Adam Fu does not know we're going to Palestine. He has no idea where we're going, doesn't know what the premise is. I think I told him he was going to get laid if we shot this video. I told him there was a party. But my buddy Fu, he's just the man. He's always down. He just came out with me, no cost. Just yeah, I'll fucking fly out with you to some shithole in Texas just to get drunk and film a video. My good buddy, super successful guy, but just he's one of the boys through and through. But we get to a hotel with Fan Josh, and after all this secrecy, and after me reiterating constantly to Fan Josh, don't tell him, he doesn't know where he's going, it's going to be a surprise, don't tell him. Fan Josh just cracks open like a Mike's Hard on the couch. He's like, so what time are we going to get going to Palestine? And then it comes over his face. that he just fucking blew the chute. And I just went, you fucker, I just got done telling you. And he was just like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And he was sincerely very fucking sorry. He did not mean to spill it. But that one comes to mind. It didn't really matter. We still went out there. Fu acted like he was a little surprised at the beginning. And then we just got drunk, dressed as Orthodox Jews, partying in Palestine. And that video is on Patreon exclusively. Fuck John Nelson, man. That guy stinks. Will Chapman needed me to say that. Mark, I hear Easter eggs here and there that you might be thinking of moving to Austin, Texas. My question is, would you try to enter the Kill Tony universe if you did? So yeah, highly considering splitting time in Texas. It's just too difficult to operate a business in California. It's not worth it. I thought I could tough it out for a while, but they find a way to get to you. They just keep sending you notices and taxes, and it's too hard to operate out here. They chase everybody out. The population allegedly gained some last year after declining for several years after COVID, but they theorize that was mostly just migrants coming in illegally, and now the decline in the state population is beginning, which is really amazing given how famous the cities are out here and how objectively beautiful they are. Los Angeles is fucking beautiful. San Diego is beautiful. San Francisco is fucking beautiful. I really like New York. I love the energy of it, but to me, it's not more beautiful than San Francisco or LA. California is an incredible state. And the fact that they fucked it up this bad it's sad, dude. It's tragic. But it can't be argued. I mean, if people are leaving this place, there's got to be a pretty strong incentive to leave. And that incentive is lower cost of living, and it's much easier doing business in red states. I would much rather live in LA than Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas is just some skyscrapers out in a field. LA, there's palm trees and beautifully colored mountains in an ocean, and there's a desert just a little bit to the east. It's glamorous. There's the Hollywood sign. There's Bel Air. It's fucking badass here. But just the way they run this place politically just makes you leave. If you stay here long enough and you want to run a successful business, they make you leave. You have to do it. You got to leave. You're not allowed to do it here. It's not okay. They'll keep sending you notices to send them money until you fucking leave. Like, that's literally what happened. Would you say 17 bodies at 20 years old is legendary? And how many bitches have you fucked? This is Levi. He's the leader of our women's literature group here on Patreon. What's up, Levi? He's got a very fratty photo in his avatar on Patreon too. I'm trying to think how many women I had sex with at age 20. I would not say 17 is legendary. I'd maybe... what is my answer to this? 2009, I was 19. I might have had sex with like 10 to 15 girls at age 20. 17 is certainly not a legendary. Add a 0 to that. 170 at 20 is legendary. I like how you went right for legendary. Not impressive, not kind of good. Legendary. I mean, you're precocious, I would say. I would say you're precocious. And I am not going to answer the how many bitches have you fucked. That seems, maybe if you'd posed it slightly more nicely, Levi. How many women have you known intimately? I would have answered, how many women have you known intimately? Josh Willman. Advice for being a virgin and always beating myself up for it. Let me see Josh here. Josh looks like a decent looking guy. Kind of looks like me, honestly. Appreciate you, Josh. Josh has been a member of our Patreon since 2023, dude. Fuck yeah. I'm gonna start shouting out how long people have been members for. That's awesome. Josh, you look like a good looking guy. I would say get in shape. That's pretty much number one when it comes to dating for guys because it's the easiest variable to control. You can also control your career and getting rich. You can control that, but it takes a long time. Whereas getting in shape, depending on how fat you are, I mean, it could take a month or two if you're working out hard. It might take longer if you've put on a lot of fat over years of neglect. Get in shape. Move to a better dating market, Josh. If you live in Paris, Texas, for instance, do move to a big city in your state, or you know what, pack up and move to New York or LA or San Francisco, Dallas. I promise you there's plenty of opportunities out there. It's tough, dude. I was really awkward with the opposite sex for a lot of fucking years before it clicked. And I mean, everybody is occasionally awkward and not smooth with the opposite sex. Without a lot more context, Josh, it's hard to give you advice specifically. And everybody beats themselves up, man. So don't feel like you're alone in that. I beat myself up constantly. I had to leave myself a voice. I mean, I do a lot of stuff to try to be happier mentally, meditation, reading self-help stuff, looking at my goals a lot, practicing some sort of light spirituality. And I still, like, I was driving home from a comedy show a couple weeks ago, and it was after we had done like a cycle of videos. We had a video in the can. I was really happy with our last couple that had come out, and I had a weekend off. Just had a great comedy set at our stand-up club, the Haha here in LA, that we perform at a lot. And if you're ever in LA, come out to a show at the Haha. We do them most Fridays. But I was driving home, and I was like, already trying to find, like, what did I do wrong this week? How did I not work hard enough? Why am I a piece of shit? Who did I not text back? Who was I kind of mean to a few days ago? And that's all I could think about. And I had to like record a voice memo to myself, like, dude, you have a weekend off. You just had a great set. If there's a time to be happy, this is a fucking time to be happy. And yet you're still just needling away at yourself. And I realized possibly the reason I was doing that is I'm afraid of a catastrophe. And I think a lot of us are afraid of a catastrophe. So in your case, Josh, that catastrophe, the reason you're beating yourself up for being a virgin is maybe you're like, right now I'm in my 20s. What happens if I'm 29 and I still haven't gotten pussy? Hell, 30? Nobody's going to want to date me. They're going to think I'm a weirdo. I'm going to be the worst sexual partner ever. What if I never find love? What if I die alone? You fear the catastrophe, and your mind is scanning the savanna horizon for any sign of hyenas or cheetahs. Because if you see the cheetah coming, maybe you can run and escape before it becomes a catastrophe. So your brain thinks you're staving off disaster by worrying, but sometimes you are. You know, maybe if your health insurance expires and you're worrying about it, you should take action on that. If you're worrying that you're running low on finances because you took some time off between jobs, that's a valid worry, and you probably should think about getting a new job or starting a business. But many problems are out of our control. Like, I didn't call my college buddy back quick enough, and now he's kind of mad at me. Like, those things aren't real problems necessarily that need addressing. Yeah, you apologize here, you mail off that letter here, but a lot of times it's just, will I die alone? Will I get cancer? Will I be a complete failure in my career? And those are just massive problems that you cannot address in a methodical, like, step-by-step basis. So there's really no point in worrying about them. And instead of fretting the catastrophe, it's better just to clear your mind and control what you can control. And stop worrying, dude. It's tough. I worry. Worrying is one of my most negative habits. It's one of my worst habits for sure. And I work on it a lot. And this edible is fully kicked in, MFer. Thoughts on Ratic Ralph making schizophrenic YouTube videos, saying the hard R, and claiming you and Leo molested him? Yeah, I mean, it sucks, man. Ratic Ralph just is... Yeah, he goes off the deep end sometimes. When he gets on the channel, he starts feeling himself to begin with. He starts off very hesitant, then starts feeling himself, and pretty soon he's got the ego of Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue in 1987. And that's when he starts partying with hard drugs to celebrate his stardom and listening to some negative influences on the internet and getting the idea that Leo and I are like his enemies. We're just really telling him, like, dude, get clean, come on the podcast every week, be classic, we'll pay you. It's going to be a good thing. You're going to be around people who are sober and hardworking. And, you know, yes, sometimes they're going to make fun of you and talk about how your girlfriend blew the neighbor on a public show, but you're getting paid for it. And if you keep hanging out with us, as it always happens in our crew, people level up and then they become one of the boys and they're no longer in the hazing stage. But Ratic just always kind of reaches that meltdown mode, and sometimes it leads to the hard R and molestation accusations. So hopefully RPP will get him under control now that he's home all day and he's not filming with us and he's not out celebrating the whatever 100 followers he got that day from being in a video. So hopefully he's on a low ebb of insanity. What is your vision for the YouTube channel in the next 5 to 10 years? I have it written down that I want to do a video on ancient Rome in Rome. Not that that's the only thing I want to do in 5 to 10 years, but that's more like illustrative of where I want to be. I want to have the resources to fly out a team of people to do a badass comedy documentary video on the Roman Empire in Rome. And hopefully at that point we'll have enough status where we can hit up somebody at a museum, somebody at the Colosseum, and get some sort of inside perks so we're not doing the kind of guerrilla style we so often are. I would like to just do really, really high budget versions of what we do today with a writing staff, a big team of editors, social media professionals who know how to grow the business a lot better than I do. Comedy consultants, like comedians I know that come in and watch videos, we toss around ideas and they critique my performance, things like that. So that's the goal. And then to have the dual platform of stand-up and YouTube because they go hand in hand so well. YouTube brings people out to our shows, and stand-up makes me funnier for the videos and looser and more used to performing. So yeah, that's where I want to be, to have that level of a team. That's another reason I've really toyed with the idea of moving to Texas, is it's just so much easier to buy a house and convert it into an office, and the cost of living is lower for your employees, and the taxes are lower, so that's money that can be put back into the business. The rent, the real estate, everything's lower, which means more money for the team, more money for facilities to work out of, and then more money to go out and shoot content. Whereas here in LA, it's so hard to keep your overhead low. Jinx Guy, one of our most beloved patrons, is asking, Danny, are there any video ideas you have had that are way too over the top for YouTube and Patreon you wish you can do? Yes. So, Jinx, there's one that comes to mind immediately that I've talked about for years. We want to play a game with everybody in our squad where we set up hidden cameras in our family home, go home, hang out like a standard visiting your parents occasion, and then walk around the living room with both of them in there and see how many racial slurs we could use before they say anything. Just to see like whose parents are the most tolerant of just racial slurs. So like there's got to be a standard set of rules. You can't just be like, hey mother, I read this study that came out of the University of Chicago by a renowned linguist who said that the use of the slur, the word, and then insert slur here, causes lower self-esteem in minority groups, not only that the slur is aimed at, but also in adjacent minority groups. What do you think about that data, mother? Like, that would be cheating to slip that in. So what would it be? Like, would you just stub your toe and it'd be like, oh, Jews, oh, N-word? It'd probably have to be higher level than just Jews. Like, you got to say shit that's, we're talking Johnny Walker Blue of slurs. Maybe I'll allow Grey Goose. Grey Goose would be like anti-Latino slurs. Nobody really takes anti-Latino slurs that seriously. Really the Cristal is the N-word. Like that is the Johnny Walker Blue. What's the famous champagne other than Cristal that I'm forgetting? Bobby Keys, the saxophone player for the Rolling Stones. Why can't I gotta fucking ChatGPT this shit? This is bothering me. And I know everybody at home knows. Oh, okay. Well, ChatGPT, I'm not signed in on this. I know you know at home. I know you know the champagne that I'm too high to remember right now. Looks like I'm going to use Grok. Grok, by the way, is my favorite AI. That's the new one I'm using. Mostly because it's up to date. It's really cool to be able to crawl through up to date Twitter stuff. Okay, Elon popped up. I was seeing if Elon stepped down from Doge, if that's what he was announcing, which I honestly, as a Tesla shareholder, wouldn't be too upset with if he did that because the Tesla share price would come back. What are the top brands of champagne? Something went wrong. Please try again. Yeah, regenerate. I am getting Dom Perignon. There it is. That's the one I wanted. Yeah, Bobby Keys from the Rolling Stones filled up a bathtub with Dom Perignon before a show, and the manager came in and was like, Bobby, we're fucking late for the gig. What you doing? And Bobby Keys was in there. He put something like 20 or 30 bottles of Dom Perignon into this bathtub. And just the most decadent, like 1970s rock and roll shit you've ever heard of. Well, he was just a saxophone hired gun musician. And so he spent more than his entire pay for the tour in paying back the Dom Perignon that he now owned the fucking Rolling Stones, or owed the Rolling Stones. That's crazy to me. I know Dom Perignon's expensive. I don't know how it's that expensive where it fucking invalidates 3 months of touring with the Stones. Danny, will we ever see you with a pet, and what would you pick? It's funny, right outside my window here, there's a dog park for my building, and I love watching the dogs. I love dogs. I am just out of town too much, though, Jinx, and I'm also out of my apartment too much. I'm just not ready. And I'm single, so I don't have a girlfriend to watch my dog while I'm gone. We can't stagger our schedules. So it would be unkind to an animal if I got one. I thought about getting a lizard or just some little dude to hang out while I'm working who I can, maybe if I'm gone for a week or so, I can have somebody come and bring in some feeder crickets. Maybe they might molest my fucking lizard, dude. It's hard to trust people, But, no plans to get a pet right now. If you could borrow, asks Jinx again, your dad's gavel and a robe for a day, how much damage do you think you would do if there were no consequences? I wanted to do a video where my dad and I got drunk, dressed as judges, just like an Edward Forty Hands with me and my dad dressed as judges. If you watch the new episode of the Leo and Danny show with Fez, my dad's got some improv chops. He's pretty funny when he wants to be. So Aiden, shout out, is a war god. We're going to give him a shout out in another one of our videos. The highest level of patron we have. So thank you, Aiden. I appreciate you, dude. Most serious situation you've had doing one of your videos, much love, brother. They've all pretty much been filmed. I mean, you've seen all of them, Aiden. Nothing really tops the We Got Jumped video from the rodeo. 1 second, guys. I'm going to run to my room real quick. I got to get some chapstick, dude. I got cotton mouth. My chapstick is gone, son. What are you going to do? I don't know where it is. Yeah, Aiden, definitely that. When we got jumped at the rodeo, pitch black, you guys saw most of it. Aiden, it's on Patreon, the uncensored version of us getting attacked, so you can check it out on here. But, yeah, that was bad, dude. Boxed in, pitch black. Each of us had 3 guys attacking, and there were dudes on horseback. Really, really, really scary, man. So, yeah, that's about as bad as it got. The guy who came up to me at the Tesla protest, Before I even knew what was happening, I already had that guy on the ground. That was just fucking weird. I never felt like I was in danger. Not like grave danger. Like maybe I get hit in the face a couple of times, but I never felt like I was going to die. Whereas that was on the table at that Paris rodeo we got jumped at. Death was possible. Thankfully, our adrenaline was so high, you're not really... Like right now, if you told me, hey, Danny, 20 Mexicans are going to come into your apartment, 2 of them on horseback, and you're going to have to fight all 20 of them right now. And oh yeah, we're going to turn off the computer screen so you don't even have the glow to fight by. Right now, I would be like, can I just jump out this window? Can I just swan dive? But there, your adrenaline is so high. It's like the body knows that human beings are going to go through some fucked shit, and it gives us adrenaline, which helps lower pain. It makes things, it shuts down your rational brain so you can't think about how scary or painful something is. It's why I assume like getting mauled by a lion is actually, I mean, there's no way it's as bad as it seems to you and I right now when your adrenaline's going. A tremendous amount of endorphins are released in humans when they're dying. I wonder what that's like, actually. Yeah, I've never been stabbed or anything like that, but I imagine if you're in a fist fight and then somebody just shanks you, you barely even feel it. So at the time, the punches didn't feel that bad. The fear was serious, but I was just too scared to even be scared, if that makes sense. So that was as bad as it got, Aiden. Question from Daniel James Brian Mullins. That sounds like a familiar name. This is a nonsensical question. I hesitant to even read it. I don't get it so much. I'm assuming it's something about the Jews, but I'm going to read it anyway and just know that I don't know what it means. Thoughts on semi-circs, talking about them turtlenecks. Also, would the surgery be discounted considering you are only removing 50% of the industry standard? Okay, he's talking about circumcisions. There we go. Turtlenecks. I get it. Circumcisions. I've never seen them called circs before with an E. Yeah, I don't know. I'm circumcised, which Moses would be happy about, but I don't really have an opinion on it. If I had a son tomorrow, I'm not sure, dude. It's just so far off for me to even think about it with a kid. I'm pretty indifferent. I make fun of Leo's uncircumcised dick a lot, but I honestly don't think circumcision matters. I don't know any women who have put their foot down in a circumcised penis. Cringe flow. If I were to perform oral sex to a monkey in a zoo and bring my dog for a mega orgy, would that be enough to be a part of your crew? Yeah, cringe flow. You could join right up. You wouldn't need to bring the dog, dude. If you sucked off a monkey in a zoo, I wonder what they'd do to you. I don't think much. I think that'd be bad PR for the zoo. They'd probably just kick you out, dude. I wonder if they'd even ban you for life. Maybe if you were just like, oh, I'll fucking go public if you ban me. I'll say I sucked a fucking chimp. Maybe you're good, dude. Chris from the LZZZ. What's your one thing you regret not doing back in your early 20s? I have a little bit of regret about college in that I always just wanted to take easy classes and not challenge myself. And if I could go back now, I would probably focus on learning things that would be useful, because learning stuff makes you a more valuable person in relationships, in the financial markets, or in the coliseum of business. So I wish I would have taken that more seriously in college. Something you regret not doing back in your 20s. So something I wish I would, not something I could take back, but something I wish I didn't do. So I kind of answered the question wrong when I brought up the college thing. Not doing. There's not much, Chris. There's not much, man. I live a pretty hedonistic lifestyle. Not in terms of just being a degenerate, but I do what I want to do. I like to work. I have fun getting better and challenging myself and growing as a business person, as a comedy creator, as a comedian, as a person, just a guy who has friends and employees and coworkers. So I like that. I like getting better. I like getting in better shape, getting better at jiu-jitsu. So, and I always did that. In my 20s, I was working out. I had a good balance of whether it was taking care of schoolwork, trying to get my comedy career going. I always had a good balance of that. Plus, I was doing jiu-jitsu or working out in some form or another. There were plenty of wild, drunken nights out chasing tail. So it's not like I feel like I missed out socially in any respect. Had girlfriends. My 20s were a good decade. I was 21. I started at UCLA. And before that, I was living with Uriah Faber, going with him to Vegas, to UFC fights, to the gym, partying all the time. I mean, not all the time, but whenever he partied, I was fucking there in Vegas partying with him. He didn't party that much. He was a dedicated fighter. That was great. UCLA was awesome for the 2 years I was there. Then I moved back home for a brief intermission. That year sucked. 2013 through early 2014. That was rough to go from having a great time at UCLA to living at home, getting drunk in a cornfield with a guy named Tor Tarantula, bouncing at a bar, working until 4 a.m. in downtown Sacramento. That was probably the worst year of my 20s. But then went to San Francisco with my buddy Tim, lived in a house with a bunch of guys, was grinding on my comedy stuff, had a job, so I had some self-esteem, and then went out partying in the marina in San Francisco, having a fucking great time. After that, Vegas, which is where I got the channel started. Then to LA, grinding on the channels and grinding on the channel in my late 20s. That was a great, those are the Fan Jerry, Inland Iggy heyday times, my late 20s. Great decade, man. Great fucking decade. 30s, haven't been as wild. I'm no longer going on 4-day Molly binges in Vegas, which I didn't do frequently, but there were at least 2 long weekend binges in Vegas where I was getting fucked up. Fucked up to a level I would not dream of today. Getting to Vegas, the worst / best weekend of my life was me, my buddy College Boy, and my good buddy Tim, and one of my jiu-jitsu buddies, Dustin Akbari, leave for Vegas on a Thursday, get there that night to my uncle's timeshare, snort a bunch of Molly, go out, nobody's even out, it's Thursday, hit on a few girls in a slot machine, walk around a bar, get drunk, go home, pass out. Next day, pool party, ripping Molly all fucking day. Go home, take a nap. Wake up that night, go to a nightclub, rip Molly and Coke, party all night, go home, take a nap. Wake up, go to a fucking pool party at 10 a.m., get hammered, do Coke, go back, fall asleep, go out again that night, repeat. I wanted to kill myself on the I-5 headed back home to Sacramento. I had the flu for an entire week after. Just debauchery on an unparalleled scale, at least in my life. But I had fun just being high as a kite, screaming along to the first and second strokes record with College Boy. That weekend, I got laid in a pool. I'd snorted 2 lines of Molly, and I'm so not advocating this. You could not get me to snort a line of fucking Molly right now. In Vegas or not, drunk or sober, fuck no, I'm not doing it to my brain. I don't want to feel that way, the way you feel after a drug binge. I don't want to feel that way the next day. It's not worth it. I like building up momentum in my life and picking up where I left off the next morning after having worked the day before, gotten a good night's sleep, getting better at my craft, getting healthier. That's what I like. But when you go to a pool party on 2 fucking Molly pills, you've got a Red Bull vodka in your hand, and then College Boy slips you another Molly to pop, and an hour later, you are intermingling with a group of college chicks. I had just graduated college at UCLA. These girls went to like UC Berkeley or something. Me, College Boy, are intermingling with them. The next thing I know, me and College Boy are up against the edge of the pool, making out with them. And I am so bold as to slip my penis into my girl. I didn't like trick slip it in. I asked her to go back to my fucking our place, our timeshare. And she said, why don't we just fuck here? And I looked to my left and I looked to my right and I didn't have a good answer for her. So we had sex right there. And it was crazy. I mean, it was an all-time failure in lifeguarding and security to allow this to go on in the pool. And it wasn't even like it was that packed. Like I had a lot of space and open water around me. And I just had sex with this girl while on a head full of Molly and on a bunch of Red Bull vodka. While I would not do it again today, I cannot say it wasn't fucking awesome. So, but that doesn't happen anymore in my 30s. But I mean, my gig is we travel all over the country and see a bunch of insane shit and meet characters I will think about for the rest of my life. I see the country, have a great time, fuck around professionally. Yeah, it's serious, and yeah, it can be stressful, and yeah, I work a lot, but I like those things. On the whole, I would not rather be giving surf lessons in Costa Rica working 10 hours a week. I would not take that life over what I do right now. 316 Chris. Again, when the hell are you coming back to buttfuck Kansas? No one cares about us but you guys, and we are some of your most diehard fans. You can call the vid Lord of the Hicks, Return to the Cancel in Oz, or some shit. Love you as always. Well, thank you, Chris. Yeah, I talk about this a lot, and I know Chris knows what I'm talking about, that one of my favorite trips, one of those trips we took when I was 30 that just makes me realize how blessed I am, was the trip to Kansas, man. We got into Topeka, filmed a video, saw a bunch of crazy shit, went to a graveyard with a medium, told her I was gay, and I was trying to contact some like fucking boy lover from high school. Go to Wichita, tell the aristocrats joke on stage at a blues bar, get booed out of the venue. Just a great, great fan meetup. One of the best, probably the most epic fan meetup ever. Nico, just one of the best Nico stories ever. I know 316 Chris probably knows this one, where Nico was passed the fuck out in our RV, and Leo was using Nico's thumb to do like a biometric reading to get into Nico's phone, and then Leo would just sext girls, like pretending he was Nico. It's one of the hardest. I don't think I've ever laughed as fucking hard. Nico was so drunk, this kind of passed out, and Leo getting his little thumb and swiping his phone open, and he sexts a girl that we had met in Kansas. And it wasn't even like Nico was hitting on her. Like we met her in Wichita rather. And just like Leo was like, "You're so beautiful. Your eyes, I know this is corny to say, but they reminded me of a full moon in autumn back in New Hampshire where my family has an estate." Just saying shit like that Nico would never say. And this chick was getting wet. And she agreed to come meet Nico at 3 a.m. at our Airbnb in Wichita. And she gets there expecting to see Don Juan personified, or Don Juan in his historical form. He's a myth for people who didn't know. Instead of seeing that, she just gets this sweaty guy who reeks of cheap vodka, just like, "Hey, who are you?" I think that's the first thing he said to her. "Who are you?" And she's just like, "Nico?" And he's like, "Ah," just a drunken animal. And she was so fucking upset. That might have been the hardest I've ever laughed in my life. It was like a 3-hour period of not being able to breathe as Leo sexted this girl as Nico. Just great trip, great time. Epic videos there. I loved it. It was beautiful weather. It felt so, the pace of life felt so refreshingly slow out there. I liked it. I like Kansas, man. And we'll try to get out there for you this year, Chris. It's just hard to think, because nothing goes on in Kansas. It's like, who gives a fuck? But we just need to do just a fucked up Kansas town. We'll get enough views to justify the trip. I'm 30 years old. Will going back to college be beneficial to me at this point, or a waste of time? I feel stuck. What's up, Tony? Good to see you, bro. Tony is an annual member on Patreon. All these questions come from Patreon, if you didn't know. You're a member since December 2023. Thank you, fucking Tony. 316 Chris has been a member forever, too. I mean, it depends, dude. Again, I'm answering this without a whole lot of information. There are some careers that you need a college degree for. If you want to be a doctor or a radiologist, or if you want to be an orthodontist, or you want to be a CPA, there are some things you're going to need a degree for, and you can't like hustle your way into the credentials. But if you are lost or you feel stuck, that makes me think you're not really sure what you want to do. And I'm not sure college is the move for that. I'll take that back a little bit. I did figure out, so I didn't figure out what I wanted to do when I went to college. I figured out what I didn't want to do. And what I didn't want to do was to be a working stiff or a professional. I was willing to take the risk necessary to live life on my own terms and be some sort of artist. So that is valuable. And you might discover that if you spend some time in college. Here is the thing, Tony, and I really want to emphasize this to anybody who's considering going to school or really doing anything is do not get into crippling debt. So don't go to an out-of-state private college where you're going to be paying great money for a so-so education. In the NFL, they always talk about how you can't pay subpar players, or excuse me, not subpar, that's the wrong word. You can't pay average to good players great money. That's a terrible way to build a team, because if you pay a B- quarterback $49 million a year, you're not going to be able to give him a strong offensive line to give him more time to throw the ball, and you're not going to be able to get him an elite wide receiver and a good blocking tight end who can get open downfield. And what's going to happen is now your B- quarterback is going to be even more exposed because he doesn't have talent to compensate for his deficiencies. So if you're going to pay top dollar for shit that matters. And you almost never need to pay top dollar for college. You can go to community college and then to a state school and get an education that's going to be probably just as valuable to you as one would be at a better school. Yeah, if you want to waltz into an elite law firm, going to Stanford is going to be better than going to Cal State Stanislaus. But if you're trying to find yourself, Cal State Stanislaus is probably better than working at a Pizza Hut. Keep it cheap. Don't spend a lot. I went to UCLA in-state. It cost about $14,000 a year versus USC, which cost $56,000 a year. And this applies to everything. Don't overspend on a house. Don't buy more car than you can afford. When you're young or when you don't have a lot of life experience, you can't even wrap your head around what a sum of money like $100,000 is. And you just have this naive optimism that, I'm going to get rich. I'll be able to pay down any loans. But you realize as you get older that, yeah, maybe you could pay down those loans in time, but I would rather not have those loans and have $100,000 sitting in the stock market, growing and building interest that benefits me, not interest that is my enemy, which is the negative interest, the credit card interest, the school loan interest. You want positive interest, which none of us have any of that right now because, tariffs and the stock market absolutely taking a fucking shit. Guys, this has been on my Patreon Q&A. I am fully on an edible now, and I am going to go to bed. Thank you.